South Bend International Airport. That's the coolest little snack shop.
Hello, friends select. This is the Labrador Retriever.
Oh, third try. South Bend International Airport has the coolest snack shop. You zoom in on the one side, it's got pop fill up there, subs and snacks, and then the pilot hangout thing you can sit and watch at. The old classic, what I think it's like 1930s, something like that.
Loco, 5, 4.
5 son 5.
Bueno, sí, pues ya nosotros 4 y mi hermana de Venezuela. El camión verde y la agarré el billete para el piso.
No, el que vende ese vende está loco. Yo me lo quedo.
Yesterday I had some interesting things happen. Guess I'll tell you the story first and then go into it. But for purpose being of this video, this is unloaded, no clip, nothing in the chamber, already checked it. But for the purpose being of this video, I wanted to ask people, are you carrying this for show or are you carrying this for protection? My point being, yesterday I came in on the train to South Bend International Airport, and because of some current flights going on, they had like anywhere between $75 and $133 Lyft charge and Uber charges, and I kept refreshing the app and everything and clearing all the memory out, trying to get something a little cheaper than that, because I'm willing to pay $60 to go down to Goshen and have a driver come back, because it's a 22-mile trip. But Goshen's kind of a dead end, really. I mean, they're hardly going to have much of a chance of getting a ride back out until they get like halfway back up to South Bend, which would be like Elkhart and stuff usually. And that's why the drivers, Lyft drivers and Uber drivers who know, don't go down to Goshen unless they have to, because it doesn't pay as well. That's why I'm willing to pay the $60 worth for 22 miles, because it's a little over $1 a mile each direction, so they're paid their time there and back. It wouldn't drop below $75. $75 was a little too high for me, so I decided to go off property to the La Quinta Inn and Suites, which is the hotel there on airport, just off of airport property, because there's a well-known fact that if you get off of airport property, you get past where they have the surge pricing for Uber and Lyft, and then the price will drop. Price dropped down to 30 to start with, and then, like I say, I'm still gonna do the difference of that after taking the trip. I was gonna do the difference of that and the tip back after I see who will take it at 30. So I'm sitting at La Quinta Inn and Suites, and in the meantime, I walked from the airport. You have to walk across the airport parking lot kind of to get to the hotel, and I'm pretty sure the Lyft driver who got assigned to me, or who took it or whatever on Lyft, saw me walking. So next thing you know, I got assigned that driver. It said she was 4 minutes out or something like that. Waited 2 minutes of the 4-minute countdown, and then I politely typed on the thingy, I'm over here at La Quinta Inn and Suites, because I didn't know if she didn't speak English or didn't know where I was at or what. Making it very clear to her that I was over at the hotel and not at the airport. So, as a customer, I was technically speaking scamming the system by not paying the surge price by walking off of airport property. Yeah, technically. As the driver, she was sitting there trying to scam the system by either, if she decided to sit right in place and not do anything and not leave or nothing, not come to the thing to pick me up or nothing. And so she's sitting in the parking lot, and the idea behind that as a driver is if the customer cancels, they get the $5 cancellation fee, so they get $5 for doing nothing. The trip itself is $30 for a 22-mile trip to Goshen, so they don't want to take it, which I can't blame them. But then at the end of the countdown, I'm sitting there waiting that out. She says, I've arrived on scene. You know, she put the thing in Lyft telling it that it's arrived, because if you're close enough to where the pickup spot is, you can tell Lyft that's where you're at. She, however, did not move her car. She was just still parked across the parking lot from the airport. Just did that on Lyft so that it would secure the ride and basically make me have to continue to wait or cancel. After I saw that happen, no car pulled in the parking lot at all, any kind of car. I'm like, no, she's scamming me. So then I texted her back again and said, as soon as this finally clears, I'll wait you out, and as soon as this clears, I'm going to report you to Lyft, because I'm going to ask Lyft to check your GPS versus where you said you picked me up at, because I'm over here at La Quinta Inn and Suites, not across at the airport. The thing is, I could have chose to walk from the airport back across the parking lot, from the hotel back across the parking lot to the airport parking where she was at, and she would be totally fine with that, because it increases the price back to the surge pricing. So if I just got into her car and she said we're good to go on the thingy that she's got our passenger now, and they take off, now they're charging me the $75 or the $133 or whatever it is, because she picked me up from surge pricing. That's why she didn't want to leave from there. So I could see on her end why she did that. I could see on my end why I did that. Whatever. She finally cancels the ride, and since it's not worth it, going to go for a different person, whatever. She cancels the ride. I get a different ride, Lyft driver that's coming in like 8 minutes. Then I see the same white Toyota, or a white Toyota, which I'm pretty sure was her, drive up to the hotel, and then stop in the front of the hotel, honk and wave at me, and I'm sitting at the bench next to the hotel entrance. I walked over there. She rolled down her window. She said, "Are you Grant?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "I just wanted to tell you thanks, because I'm now deactivated off of Lyft." And as she's saying this, she reached over. Let's say this is the car, the driver's side door of the car. She reached over here, reached down into the pocket of the door, and pulled out a gun. Didn't pull it all the way out, but showed it enough to show me the handle of the gun, like this, and intimidating style. Wanted to basically tell me not to mess around with people. Some people can be armed. So, as you see the bag, I had the bag on like this the other day. Have to switch hands, because I'm left-handed. Didn't do that right. Pulled the gun, my gun, out of the bag. Racked the slide, because in this bag full of stuff, I don't carry it with one in the chamber, because I don't want, it's only got the trigger safety on a Glock. So I don't want something push against that trigger and then going boom in my bag. So I don't carry in the chamber in this bag in particular. Had to rack the slide, so I'm doing this the whole show, racking the slide and pointing it at her, hoping that she would just take off. But then I know right at this point I've got to make a choice. If she does not go off, speed off, drive off, I have very limited options, as I have the half a second advantage. If she goes back to go for that driver's side compartment to get her gun out, there's only one reason she's bringing the gun out the second time, is that's full intent to try and shoot me. And if that were to happen when I already have the gun pointed at her, I have no option there other than to let it rip, so to speak. And I was hoping that wouldn't come to that option, but at the same time, if you're gonna carry a gun, you have to be willing and able to go that far. It's not just for show, it's to protect yourself. And that whole deal kind of backfired on both of us, sort of. But at the same time, I didn't want her to just get away with the show, the intimidation tactic. I could have went, "Oh, okay, sorry." Put my hands up and, left like that. "Don't shoot me, blah, blah, blah." I could have done that. But since I was carrying, might as well take it to the next level, and I shouldn't have done that. I don't advertise people doing that. But at the same time, I was really, really, really willing and able to take it all the way to the next level if I have to. Not that I want to shoot her, but had she went for that driver's side compartment again, that right there is classified as self-defense. Even though it started off as she's the aggressor, then I turned into the aggressor. She went back to get a gun out while I had her at gunpoint. At that point, any reasonable person would say, yeah, even though it started bad, I was in the right, because she was going back for a gun that I knew existed. She already just showed me it. And the only reason you go back for the gun the second time is to pull it out and shoot you. Not that you should have taken it out the first time, but the whole point of this video is to remind people, and I've fallen for it myself, it's very, very easy to take something like this and fall for the fact that now I'm armed, now I can play intimidation factor on people and walk up and be the aggressor directly, or be okay with getting into fights that I normally wouldn't be okay with getting into fights because I'm armed, because I have something on me. But you've got to be opposite of that. You've got to back off and try to do everything you can not to be the aggressor, because especially if they don't have a gun. She had a gun, so it was kind of even. But if they don't have a gun or a way to protect themselves like that, you look really, really bad, especially if you pull your gun out and do stuff like she was intending on doing just for show. But I knew, because she didn't take the gun out of the... Well, she took it out of the compartment, but she didn't take it out of the holster or nothing. Just showed me the handle part that doesn't come out of the holster. Or doesn't go in the holster, I should say. and put it back in there as an intimidation action, you know, to just show me that she's armed and that I shouldn't piss people off that are armed, that kind of deal. Because she was mad. She, you know, she basically essentially lost her job, but that's what you get, you know. Did I have to report her? No, but at the same time, I was there for probably 45 minutes before that trying to get a ride from people. That's at the big, and part of that is caused by me because I took the $30 no surge time cheaper route out. You know, I'll confess I was a cheapskate, you know, and took the $30 and then figured whoever takes it, I'm gonna tip them on the other end of the ride so that it makes their time worth it going back instead of having to pay $75 to $133 up front. If I'm gonna pay that, it must be on a bus. I should have taken a bus from Chicago if I'm gonna pay that rate. But anyway, all that determined, this is gonna be my work bag, and then I decided to buy a cheaper version of the 945 Industries bag that, in my opinion, is better shaped. It's a smaller square bag. I'll have to show you that when it gets here. It gets here on Saturday. But it's a cheaper version of that bag for like 36 bucks or something, compared to the 945 Industries bags being like 150. Does the same thing, has the pull tab and everything, but it's more of a square. I'd rather really have more of a square facing bag than that anyway. But this bag right here will be my work stuff. I decided all my work stuff goes in here, and then I'm going to carry an independent gun bag in most situations. However, going to these sensitive places like the bus station, on buses, at the ground side of the airport, at train stations, on the train, all that stuff, I'm probably going to end up having to pack it semi unloaded in this, just because, again, that falls back to the same video I made the other day, that I don't want the bag identified as just a gun bag. That's it, because if the wrong person identifies that as, oh, that guy's carrying, hey sir, let me see what's in that bag, and they're a conductor or the bus driver or whatever that has the authority to do so, then I would be screwed. So I'm still kind of in the air on that. But because of what happened last night, I am most definitely going to carry a gun dedicated bag when I'm not in those places. This is going to be the work bag that's slung over my back on the one side. My duffel that's up front there will be on my two back straps, and then I will have a dedicated gun bag on the front just to carry the gun. And the reason why I want to go dedicated gun bag is so I can keep it loaded, one in the chamber and all, because it doesn't have anything in there to rub against the trigger to cause the Glock to go boom by itself, which they normally don't. It's a 5.5 pound pull, but just because I had different kind of stuff in here, you don't want to have something that can fall into the trigger between the soft partition between the two compartments and whatnot in this bag. It's very iffy. If I had a regular, or not a regular, if I had a different gun that had external safeties and whatnot, then I'd have no problem carrying it with one in the chamber in here with other stuff. But because the Glock itself only has the trigger safety as the only safety, really, I mean, it's got drop safety built into it, but the only safety built into it to keep it from going boom, I don't feel comfortable keeping it in a holster in with a bunch of other stuff for work. But at the same time, I need all this stuff for work, and I don't want to put this underneath the bus or nothing. So that's why I put everything I don't want to put underneath the bus in this bag, and then everything I do or could put underneath the bus if I had to goes in that other bag. And then when you're at the airport, I have the gun case in that bag to be able to put my gun in and check it. And in that case, then I'd put up almost everything in there, because I'm having to check a bag and pay 50 bucks anyway. So besides like the transport plates and stuff that I really need for work, I'd put all the extras, your tape, zip ties, all the other crap in the checked bag at that point. But that's how I decided to roll. I'm currently in a bus that's going back. It's a 15-passenger bus, or would be if they put the seats in. But it was a city bus for the area of Mounds View, Minnesota, which is a suburb of Twin Cities. Used everywhere all around the Twin Cities, I think they do. Getting handicapped style buses. But I will show you why this one got rejected. I took it out of the yard last night just to sleep in it overnight, but I had the feeling that it was rejected when I showed it to claims this morning, mostly because I haven't left Goshen yet. I had the Hampton Inn. So it's not huge, it's not bad, too bad to do, but the delivery point where it was going to rejected it because of the long 2-foot long scratch there that you can't really see because of where I'm at in the shade. And then it has a paint blemish that's about 2 foot by 2 foot here, square, that you can kind of see from where somebody must have ran into it or something, or backed the side, swung the back end into something. Not sure if our shuttle driver did it. It looks like it's a little older than that, but either which way, the delivery point rejected it, rather than take it and have to buff it out themselves and whatnot. So this bus is going back, and I don't know if it's going back to the manufacturer or what, but the manufacturer is 87 miles north or south or something from here. I see the odometer says 87 miles. Don't know if they're going to take it back the other 87 miles, but I'm going to take it back to quality and see, and hopefully they get me a run that matches this in miles. I don't know. The likelihood of that happening is slim to nil. This was 530 miles. I'll probably end up with something kind of stupid and short, like a 300-mile run or something at this point, because all the other long ones are going east, and I don't really want to go east between the tolls and the amount of different types of transportations you have to pay to come back from going east. It doesn't make it worth your time to go there, because every mode of transportation you take costs more money than just taking one singular transportation mode. So going east, even though they have a lot of options for transportation, public transport back, it's not very profitable unless you're 700 miles into the trip or something. So I don't know what's going to happen yet. But that's the whole video for today. And going back to carrying, are you carrying for show? Or are you really willing and able to go the extra step if need be? You have to ask that for yourself. Only you can determine that. So obviously, that Lyft driver, that woman last night, she was mad, of course, because she lost her job, has to fight that off. But she was not mad enough to go all the way to shoot me over it. She just wanted to come up there and threaten me. But the problem with threatening someone with looking at a gun, you know, with no intention of actually pulling the gun, is they might pull their own gun, like I showed her last night. And I mostly did that just to show her that, okay, you want to show me your gun? I will pull my gun. And there's a difference. I pulled and pointed a loaded gun at her, and I meant to. And if she had gone for her gun again, you know, it is what it is at that point. I don't want to shoot anybody if I don't have to, but at the same time, she put me in that situation. I didn't put, well, we technically put each other in that situation from like the virtual argument we had online, pretty much. I mean, we didn't really argue, but I had the place of trying to get a $30 trip for 22 miles, which a driver doesn't usually like, and she had the place of trying to get $133 for like a 7-mile trip that would not put her too far away from the airport. Because, I mean, they're running a business. I don't blame her at all. Same thing I'd be doing with DoorDash or Walmart Spark or whatnot. I was trying to maximize my time for my money. So I don't blame her for that too much, but at the same time, she should have just passed on me and kept on going. You know, they give you 2 or 3 times to do it, though, and maybe she's sat there and done that all afternoon, passed on this person, passed on that person. And if you pass too many times, Lyft will kick you off and not allow you to work that day or whatever because you're not working. And that might have been the thing. She might have been sitting there all afternoon cherry picking her run, so to speak, and taking the $5 cancellation fees, waiting people out for the runs that she don't want, and taking, of course, the really lucrative runs that she does want in between all the flights when they come out and passengers come down there and it's high demand for Ubers and Lyft, and she gets a, you know, $80 or $100 for like a 7-mile run each direction, 14-mile trip or something like that, and you make bank at that point, which I can't blame her for doing that. But at the same time, she shouldn't string us along, us customers, whether we're at the airport or not, that are still trying to get our Lyft from whatever driver that wants to take us. She shouldn't have waited and waited and waited and then said that she would. That's the main thing. She shouldn't have said that she was there when she wasn't. She was clear across the airport. You know, that right there is lying to Lyft, and I made sure that Lyft knew about it, and once Lyft knew about it and looked at their GPS and said, oh, you were clear across the airport, you never moved. You said you were there, but you never moved. Oh, by the way, deactivated. And good on them, because she was scamming people. But, you know, it is what it is. She didn't have to take the extra step and drive over there and show me that she had a gun and try to intimidate me. That she had a gun, that she's mad that she lost her job. You know, she put herself in that position, in my opinion. And then I surprised her when I pulled the gun and pointed it at her, and she had 2 choices from that point. She can either drive out, speed off, which is what she did and what I hope she would do, or she can reach for her gun again and, you know, call her bluffs or call my bluffs or whatever you call it in terms of poker. Yes, if I'm going to shoot her or not. And if she'd reach for that gun again, I'd have had to shoot her. And then I would wait at the time, call 911 for assistance. Not tell anything on 911 other than, shots were fired, blah, blah, blah. There, send cops here. The argument's kind of over, but send cops there after the fact. Cops show up. I would say I would like a lawyer. I've carried CCW, and I would like to speak to a lawyer before I talk any further. And then I would have waited until I was in front of a lawyer, and then I would have told them what all I just told you on the video that happened at that point, and been like, this is how it happened, on my opinion. And that's the reasonable justification for self-defense. Is if anybody, whether it's an old lady or a cop or a FBI agent or Joe Schmo walking down the street, whoever, you put anybody in my position, right there standing outside her window of her car, she shows you the gun, shows you that she has a gun but doesn't point it at you or whatever. You're armed, so Joe Schmo citizen is armed. I pull out the gun, point the gun at her, and at that point, if she were to go to reach for that gun again, and Joe Schmo would believe that bodily harm or death, of course, is coming your way, you are free and legal to justifiably shoot her if you had to at that point. When you have them on target like that, you already know they have a gun. They go for the gun again. At that point, there's nothing I can do about it. I'm going to protect myself first. It's going to be her, it's going to be me, it's going to be me. I'm not going to be the one that doesn't survive that, especially when I have her at gunpoint, so I had the advantage at that point. And she made the right decision and spit off. Had she not made the right decision, so still so mad, went for that gun again, I would have had no choice but to shoot her. But you have to be willing to go that far. To even begin to point your gun at someone, you have to be willing and able to use it. And the thing is about showing your gun like she did, just using it as an intimidation tactic, one of these days, she or I or whoever, if you're going to do that, you're going to walk around showing your gun to people. Eventually, you're going to come across someone who has their own gun, who is pretty damn proficient in it. They go to the gun range every weekend, and they're a gun enthusiast or a gun hobbyist or whatever. And they could shoot you, I wouldn't want to say blindfolded, but pretty much one-headed, blindfolded without even hardly looking. Eventually, you're going to come across that, and that guy's not going to hesitate. He's shot so many times at the range, he's just going to done. He's going to have a fast, quick draw out of a bag or out of his waistband or appendix or whatever and pull it out, boom, when he sees you show your gun. He's going to fast react, and then she's going to be done. And that's exactly why I'm making this video. It's because if you want to go around showing people that you have a gun because you're armed or whatever, more power to you if you want to go that route. But I keep in mind the fact that I'm going to come across someone who's a lot more proficient in that weapon than I am. And then, for the second that I have remaining in my life, I'm going to wish I hadn't done that, because here we go, boom, 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 boom. And legally speaking, technically, I would have been justified in pulling my gun once she started showing me her gun, even though it hasn't come clear out of the holster or nothing. I don't have to wait until she pulls it all the way out of the holster. I could have had it at appendix or wherever, fast, easier draw, like the fast bag I want to get. That has a fast draw down. And then she'd have showed me that gun, that's all it takes. And legally, I'd be justified at that point. She started to show me a gun, I feared for life. Boom, 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 without even talking about it. And I would still be legal, because you put anybody in my position, whether it's an old lady or a cop or whatnot, anybody who would feel the same way, that they were in fear for their life at that point, has legal justification for self-defense. And you do need to realize that playing with a gun, walking around with a gun armed, and showing people, it's not a game, people. It's not this, I'm going to walk around as some tough guy or tough woman because I have a gun, because I'm armed, and I'm going to show whoever, if I get mad, I'm going to be like, ooh, look at this, I have a gun. And go play that route if you want to go play that route, but you're going to come across someone who's a lot faster than you are, and they are justified at that point once you show them the gun in a threatening manner. Juries would say that was and wasn't a threatening manner, but I mean, the only reason you're going to show me a gun, if you're not my friend, and we're talking about, guns, consensually together, for lack of a better word, and then you go to show me your gun in a friendly manner, that's one thing. If we're not my friend, you're showing what would have been a customer of Lyft, the job that you're working for a gun because you're mad that that customer just got you banned from Lyft. Obviously, anybody's going to go, yeah, that was not a friendly encounter. That was intentional. Whether she meant to actually shoot me or not, that was intentional. But anyway, this is the video for today. I'm on Saturday or Sunday, hopefully from an Amazon locker. Hopefully I can get back in time to do that when I see whatever vehicle I get next, since I got to go return this one. I will drive it to wherever it needs to go and try to get back here by Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, because I think I only got like 3 days to pick it up from the locker. Hopefully I can get there in time. And then I will show you, I got both a t-shirt that has pockets for underneath you wear a collar shirt over, and then you have an armpit pocket. I'm not sure how well that would work for sure carrying it, because I'm not all too sure comfortable carrying that again. It might work, I don't know, I have to see how tight and how good those pockets are or not. And then I got a sling over bag that's a quick draw dedicated gun bag that I'm going to have in front for all the times except for when I have to go to a bus station or a train station or the ground side of an airport, etc., where I don't want any momo chance of somebody realizing that that's for a gun. Outside of that, though, walking around on Joe Schmo everywhere I land, I'm going to be walking around with the bag because of how I drive all day long and then get out for breaks and everything. I don't want to be constantly adjusting the gun on the belt. For someone who doesn't drive all day long, wearing it on the belt is no big deal. You know, you can sit, you can stand, whenever you want. Every now and then with a gun on your belt or an appendix or wherever, and it's not a huge issue, but someone who has to climb up into a vehicle all the time, off and on all day long, it's uncomfortable to carry it on the belt. I do have the belt system, and I do have a quick, or not a quick draw, but a minimal holster that only has the trigger guard cover, and that's it for that purpose, so that you can put it on your belt. And it's the quickest draw out, because there's nothing, it's retention, but there's nothing getting in the way, extra holster material getting in the way of drawing the gun fast and out. So it's essentially a quick draw, very, very minimal trigger guard only holster that I do have for the belt. For really, 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 really rough areas like train platforms in the middle of the night and stuff like that, I would be carrying it that way, just so it's faster and easier to get to. But in most situations, I'm going to end up carrying on a sling bag with a dedicated gun bag here. Like and subscribe, leave comments. I'll catch you in a flip. Peace.